So we're 15 minutes early because Alex and I were having a conversation offline. Like we're sitting, he and I here on video chat, and I was like, man, I want to have this conversation live because, frankly, I think it's a fun conversation, not because it has anything to do with what we're talking about tonight, which, to be clear, we are going to pull out the crystal ball. We are going to talk real estate, what is happening post-election, and frankly, giving you some really, really helpful data-driven information, not opinion, but actual statistical data that's going to help you take some steps over the next 8 to 12 months post-election. So we're going to go there in a second. Here's my question, okay? So let's all assume that the dots are connecting, that Trump loses the presidency, that Biden steps in. My question was 4 years from now, okay? 4 years, we're in the same seat we're in right now. Does Trump rerun for term 2 again? Because this has happened. I want to be clear. I want to go back through U.S. history. This has happened where we have seen a president serve 2 terms non-consecutive. And I'm going to be honest. I think there is a legitimate chance, especially when you go back, you look, this was 2 years ago when we were having midterms where the top candidates to follow Trump were his kids. They were, by voter opinion, GOP opinion, his kids were considered the top desired candidates to follow him as president. And so I think the Trump train, Trumpist thing, I frankly, I don't think it's going anywhere. And so legitimate question is, does Trump run again?
I just think that's crazy. I think it's a crazy theory.
All right, hit me with the crazy. I love crazy theory. Please, God.
No, I mean, like I was saying before we hopped on, like, I don't think he thought he was going to win the first time. I think it happened, and he was surprised by it.
I mean, agreed.
If you look, and he was building up his channel, his media company, like up until he won the presidential election, and then had to let that all go. And now he's ramping up for that again.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, I just don't think. I think he was surprised.
I think the man has an ego the size of the universe, and I just don't know. Like, I think he will be just as active on social. I think he will be just as loud over the next 4 years. And I swear to you, man, I truly do. If I was throwing $100 down on the table, depending on the odds, I really would think there's a legit chance that not only does he run in 4 years, but that he wins the nomination.
I'll take that bet all day.
And here's where we're going to get fun.
I'll take that bet.
Here's where we're going to get fun. Is I think depending on how the GOP treats his lawsuits coming up in the next few weeks, and how because those are going to Supreme Court. You can go and count it. How they treat. I mean, we saw Marco Rubio a few hours back, make his statement about Trump's declaration, ahead of time. Man, this is over with. I've got it. I think seeing how the GOP treats him over the next 48 hours to 2 weeks is going to be very, very telling to what the GOP does with him and that flag over the next 4 years, and really who they give the nod to ultimately in the next 4 years. So I think it's going to be very, very interesting. So
I don't think he'll run again. If he does, I don't think he gets the same support. I think a lot of the support he's getting is he's the guy that's in the seat right now, and he's the guy the Reds backing right now.
I agree. I mean, I do agree with that. And I think that was clear and obvious back 4 years ago when he was running, and you had the Mitch McConnells, and you had the what's his name from South Carolina? Old saggy chin, man. What is his name?
Yeah, don't ask me names.
There, yeah. When he was like, this guy is, Satan incarnate, but the second he got the nomination, he was like, he is our savior, deified, sitting beside the Lord and the Father, And so,
are we talking about Romney, or are we talking about
not Romney, not
Jersey
Romney,
boy,
not Romney,
okay.
The dude from South Carolina. He just like. I can't remember his name, but everybody watching, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Somebody put it in the comments, please. Help me from floundering here. But it will be. It's going to be extremely telling who we land with 2 years from now, and how much he/his family is involved with GOP activity, assuming the dots connect with Biden taking the presidency, sitting in the White House. Lindsey Graham, my mom. Yes, Lindsey Graham. What does Lindsey Graham do with the Trumpist thing over the next 2 years? If the dots connect and he is not sitting in the White House and decorating for Christmas. So we'll see. I could see it. I could see it. All right, man. So we got to pull out the crystal ball. We got to talk real estate. Because I think, well, no, I don't think, I know that Biden and Trump carry very, very different weight into how they want to drive the real estate conversation. I mean, Trump's a real estate guy. Like, that's literally how he made his money. It's why he paid $750 in taxes. My mom's coming on. Yep. God, I love you. Yep. It's why he paid $750 in taxes. Like, he is going to be pro real estate at a larger level, at a wealth building level, not residential home ownership per se, but much more multifamily commercial. He is always going to be pushing that and pushing the wealth aspects into that conversation. Whereas Biden is tending to hold the flag of affordability, home ownership, first-time home ownership. Is being a homeowner even affordable anymore? I mean, you and I are in conversations every day with people who are like, Mark, man, I just don't know if I can literally afford to own a home. I have a salary. I've got an adult job. And man, home ownership, I mean, the average price of a home in Gwinnett has gone from $353 to begin this year, now up to $361 last time I checked. I mean, that's a big number, guys, as a median in Gwinnett. I mean, we're not talking ITP. We're not talking Brookhaven, Sandy Springs here. You know, we're talking Gwinnett. And
I know here
squeezed a lot of people out of the market.
$15K in the last 12 months.
$15,000. That's over $1,000 a month a homeowner has gained in equity. And so what you're going to see, I mean, we'll just dive into this and we're going to go a bunch of directions in this conversation. So grab, your pen and paper, grab your iPad and get ready to crank out some notes here. What you're going to see is one of two things. If you are currently a homeowner, you are going to see your equity continue to rise over the next 2 years. You are going to see your equity continue to rise over the next 2 years because we are going to continue to see a growth in the buyer pool as to people who are wanting to enter the market. And we all understand basic economics, supply and demand. The less supply, the greater demand, the higher the price. And the demand for home ownership is not going away, especially if we have Biden in office, who is proposing incentives for taxes and so on for people for home ownership purposes. I mean, you're going to see that emphasized over the next 24 months. And then equally, you're going to see people who own rental properties continue to be in a really strong position where they are not wanting to offload those properties, especially if Biden if he's able to remove the 1031 exchange, which, cards on the table, I don't think that's going to happen. I truly do not believe that will happen. But if he did, and long story short, giving you what that is, it is a tax program that allows investors to sell their investment property, their apartment complex, for another real estate asset and pay no taxes. And Biden wants to get rid of that, obviously, because he wants to take those tax dollars and reinvest them in particular places. It's, again, the whole premise of his campaign. If you're above $400,000, man, or if you're below that, you're not going to see your taxes raised. Now, you and I could hem and haw it out whether that's true or not, but that's been the flag that he's flown under. And so he's wanting to get rid of that 1031. And if he does, man, good luck with any of those rental homes hitting the market. If you are an investor, you're sitting on an asset that is mailbox money, $6,000, $8,000, $2,000 a month, and you just found out you cannot sell that asset without paying capital gains, which are going to be around a 40 to 45% number on your profit. Are you kidding me? You're just sitting on it.
Right.
You're going nowhere with that thing.
Yeah, those aren't going anywhere. They're just going to sit around.
And so guess what that does, guys? Guess what that does to supply? It causes supply to stay bone dry when it comes to single family rentals. And so if you are a landlord right now, if you own, basically, if you're an owner in any form or fashion when it comes to single family, you're looking at 2 months of significant appreciation, with the caveat, and we're going to talk about this tonight. This is kind of where we want to dive in the pool, is with the caveat that there is the potential, but potential is the key word here, for us to see the people who have been living in the pool of pre-foreclosure, possibly foreclosure. I applied for forbearance back in March, April, May, and I've been hanging out, and the piper is going to get paid at some point. And so we're going to dive in the data of all of this to talk about how many of those people who are living in forbearance right now, they've applied for it, they got it from anywhere from 3 months, 90 days, up to 12 months of the feds saying you don't have to pay. As a part of the CARES Act, we are giving you the ability to push pause on your mortgage, to kick it to the back of your 15-year, 20-year, 30-year mortgage, and you can just put it in cruise control. Whether you didn't have to prove that you lost your job, you can still have your job, and you could be making more money now than you made at the start of this thing back in March, and you still could have received forbearance opportunity on your mortgage. But the question is, of those people that did, and we're going to look at the real math again in a second, but of the people that did, how many of those are legitimately delinquent 30, 60, 90 days plus late? And the CARES Act ends in that moratorium on foreclosures and evictions and foreclosures, both of those, they end at the end of this calendar year. And so the question is, how many of those people end up needing to either sell their properties, and we'll look at the math, sell their properties, or go into foreclosure? And automatically your brain should be going back to 08, 09, Great Recession and all that. What is the market going to do? So, Alex, I'm going to hand over to you, and then we'll kind of pull some data as we go.
Yeah, I mean, like you were talking about, there's over, I think I read 3.7 million homes in forbearance right now.
Yep.
And that's down from the spring when there was, I think, closer to 5. So that's a good thing. I mean, people are continuing to pay their mortgage now. The forbearances are done there, but that's still close to 4 million homes across America that their mortgages are not getting paid at the moment.
Yep.
Right. And it's because of COVID related issues. And that's terrible. But we have to kind of, in our roles, look ahead of that and think, okay, what's going to happen with those homes? Is right now in the market that we're in, it's very much a low inventory seller's market. Is that going to help it? Is it going to completely swing the pendulum to a buyer's market where all these homes enter the market?
Yep.
Those are the questions we're kind of entertaining right now. And how far out is that? And how does the election tonight and this week and the Senate race, like, how are those things affected? CARES Act comes into play.
Second stimulus package. What is that? If it's going to be, what's it going to be?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, those are all kind of things we're looking at today. So I'll ask you.
Yep.
Is there going to be a spike in loan delinquency, like actual foreclosures happening if forbearance happens or goes away?
So let me do this, Alex. I'm going to kick you off the screen for a minute for everybody watching. And guys, what I want you to do over the rest of this time is, as you have questions, kick over to the comments and throw it out there, because we really do want to bring the heat in this conversation, if you will, and kind of give you what's actually happening so you know how to move and make moves as you're going. So I'm going to kick us over. This is a group called Black Knight. Black Knight is a data analytics company that is top in our industry, man. Like, we are watching their data like a hawk, because it is giving us a true sense as to what's happening. And so you see here in this information, September has actually been a very, very encouraging month. It's been the first month that we have seen a change in the delinquency rate going down. Delinquency is 30 days plus. People, anyone who is late on their mortgage payment, 30 days or more. So that's not forbearance. That's just 30 days late. Now, serious delinquency. This is that 90-day plus category. We are down 43,000 mortgages. We're down for the first time in this calendar year since COVID started, down 43,000, and prepayment, that's anyone who's paying before the 16th of the month, that is up 12.7%. So what we're seeing is, frankly, we're seeing really, really, really good numbers for the first time since COVID. The trend, I mean, you're seeing people, and what this should be telling you is, for the first time since COVID, we are having people leave the forbearance conversation because they know, I got to pay the piper here. And so now's the time to get off the fun. And those of us who have jobs that continue to crank it out and the salary is still there, you know what? It's time to kind of leave the college lifestyle and get back to being an adult, because CARES Act is going to run out. It's got an expiration date no matter what. And so that data is now telling me we are seeing a significant uptick. But, and here's the big but, where the question comes into play, of FHA loans, and I'm going to unpack that. FHA loans are specifically designed for people who are buying houses at or below the median as a general principle. Like here in Gwinnett, you can't spend more than, I want to say it's like $380 on a house and qualify for an FHA loan. And so it's homes that are at or below the median. And of those, we see that a little bit over 11% are in delinquent status at this point as of today. A little bit over 11% are 30 days late or more. And the question that comes with that, if this is someone who owns a home at or below the median, and we look at this K-shaped recovery, people who have money and are in a really strong position, and to be extreme, the Jeff Bezos of the world, man, they've crushed it during this process. They've made a lot of money. And those who are the gig workers, the restaurant employees, they have tended to struggle really, really hard in this season. And so the question is, of those people who are in FHA loan status, how many of those people are now jobless, unable to pay their mortgage, and what is going to happen to those homes? What's going to happen with them? And the real secret sauce in that conversation is, how long has an individual owned that home? Because like Alex said, we've seen massive appreciation in home values over the past 8 years. I mean, I bought my very first home when I was in college as a senior. I bought that home in Anderson, South Carolina, 2009 for $63,000, and that home's now worth a little more than $200,000. So more than tripled in value since the depths of the Great Recession, and most specifically over the past 3 years. I mean, if you bought a home 3 years ago, you're sitting with significant equity. And so it's foolish to think that someone, even if you are delinquent right now without a job, that you are going to fight tooth and nail to sell that property rather than foreclose and lose all your equity. You're going to call your agent, you're going to call me, you're going to call Alex after this thing is done. You're going to call me and you're going to say, Mark, I lost my job due to COVID. I'm sitting here. I know I've got equity. I've been paying my mortgage for the past 2 years, for the past 3 years, maybe even for the past 12 months. And your equity, the only way you're cashing in on that equity is by selling your home. And so for the people who are looking, asking, man, are we looking at 08, 09? Are we going to see this mass influx of foreclosures? I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, there is negative chance of that happening for a myriad of reasons. There's just sheerly not enough homes who are in delinquent foreclosure status to make up what we saw in the Great Recession. And again, I can go over all the data for days, but that ain't happening. So if you're sitting here on the fence waiting for like, man, the houses are going to be on sale soon, I'm telling you, you're going to be sitting for a really, really long time.
No, the value of homes are not going to nosedive because a few million homes hit the market over the next 9 months.
No way. Like 100% not.
And that's the thing,
happening.
like, these might be foreclosures. These might just be people just selling their homes because they can't just afford to live in them anymore. They're not going to be what we would typically label foreclosures as rundown discount sale homes. Like,
right.
It's just not going to happen. It's people that want to pay their mortgage and live in their homes, and they just couldn't anymore.
Yep. So let me kick you over. I want to show you again. I'm just going data. I do not want to go hard opinion here. I literally want you to see what's actually happening real time in the market. So right here we see, let me get this down so you can see exactly what I want you to see here. So make that a little bit larger. So you're seeing data for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days delinquent. And this is current. This is September 2020. here is the peak of COVID, and here's the Great Recession peak. So, for example, people who are 90 days delinquent, again, we're in the middle of forbearance. And so we're assuming the vast majority of those people are in forbearance. And so we see 2.3 million. And then the Great Recession, we were at 2.9. So those numbers are lined up. But the number we're really, really watching, we're going to see in a second. It's my daughter in the background. She decided to sneak in. The numbers we're really, really watching are how many of those people are jobless. How many of those people have lost their job? Not just taking a pause on their mortgage, but they literally cannot pay their mortgage. But the numbers we're really, really leaning in here too are how many people are not current. And you see that's half. That number is half of what we saw in the Great Recession. And how many of those people are just recent. They've come off of forbearance and they still can't afford their mortgage. That number is 821,000 versus Great Recession, we're looking at 2.2 million. So the math is telling us very clearly, if people cannot pay their mortgage, the vast majority of those are going to sell their home rather than at foreclose. Now, let's talk about those who are going to foreclose, because that is going to happen. I mean, there are going to be foreclosures, no doubt about it. So let's take that FHA number of 11%, and then conventional loans owned by Fannie, Freddie, where they're about 4%. So let's take 15% of people. Let's cut that in half. Let's say half of those, even though that's a very, very low estimate, half of those have equity in their home where they could traditionally sell it on the market, make a profit, and move on to whatever's next, be it moving in with a family member, be it finding a rental property, whatever. Half of those hit the market in January, February, March, because again, that's when CARES Act runs out, and that's when foreclosure can formally begin. So if we have an influx of inventory here in Georgia, and you're going to see at the end of this actual Georgia data, that if that were to happen, currently we are sitting, and I'm going to dive into some industry terms for a minute. We're sitting at about 2 months of inventory, which means all the homes sold in September divided by the number of inventory we have active on the market. That means basically everything that happened in September, we only have 2 months worth of that, two times that multiple. Mm-hmm. And so let's say half those homes come up for sale. We still find ourselves in a seller's market, less than 6 months worth of inventory. So even if all those people, all of them have no job, they have to sell their home, we are still sitting in a seller's market. And then we fast forward to August, because August is a realistic time frame for us to look at those foreclosures hitting the market, because typically a bank gives you about 4 months of non-payment, because you're worth more to them as someone paying your mortgage than it is worth their time, effort, and energy to go and foreclose on the home, get it sold, yada, yada. They would just much prefer you to be paying. And so they typically give you 4 months. And then the foreclosure process for it actually being sold on the courthouse steps can take up to 4 months. So we're looking at August as a realistic launch date for all of this to happen. Again, worst case scenario.
Especially if there's so much high volume of these coming through the system. Like,
absolutely.
It's going to take that much time for the value of homes to be established.
Absolutely, man. And so like the idea that people are just coming to me being like, Mark, they're just waiting for everything to go on sale. Bro, I'm telling you, like you may see a slight pullback from where the market is now, but us going from a strong seller's market to some crazy buyer's market, I'm telling you, as someone who is in the investing conversation, man, I would be taking advantage of that. I'd be scrapping all my pennies together, looking under the couch. But I'm telling you, that's not happening. I mean, literally, as of today, I went under contract on a quadruplex in Anderson, South Carolina. I went under contract because I believe the market now is less than it's going to be anytime in 2021. And so the deal is better now than it's going to be anytime in the next 12 months. And so money where my mouth is. I'm smoking what I'm selling here. And so we're looking at a lot of stuff that can happen in the market. But all the data is pushing us into a reality that says interest rates are as strong as they have ever been. Money is almost free, folks, when it comes to your mortgage. Money is almost free. Now is the time to jump, grab something, because again, appreciation's only going up. The numbers are very clear. The amount of people who want to buy and want to be homeowners far supersedes the amount of inventory, which again just drives up value, drives up value, drives up value. Even if Biden comes along and gives $15,000 of tax incentive for first-time home ownership, that does nothing for affordability. And if 1031 goes away, that dries up investors who are looking to sell property, which drives up value, which makes it harder to afford. And so now is the time to jump in as soon as you can. Jump in, be part of this conversation, and experience the wealth building asset that is owning a home. I had someone call me today. I won't use their name and go into the specifics, but they were in a situation knowing I'm in a season of life where I want to have a master on the main. My husband does, and we could refinance. We could go from a 4.7. They bought their home with me 2 years ago, 4.7 interest rate. They could get down to like a 2.5 to a 2.7, and that would do wonders for their mortgage payment. But what they saw is we've actually gained a lot of equity over the past 2 years, and we do not believe this house is going to serve us well 5 years from now because, again, without going deep in the minutia of everyone's individual conversation, refinancing is not free. I mean, we're talking 2 to 3% to refinance is what it's going to cost you in between closing, appraisal, yada, yada. And so there is a cost that comes with refinancing your loan. So if your mortgage payment goes down $400, but it costs you $9,000 to refinance, the math says you got to live in there about 5 years to begin to see benefit, to get in the black as the result of refinancing. And so I asked her, I said, do you see yourself being in this house 5 years plus, or do you see yourself pre 5 years needing to transition? And she was like, automatic, Mark, that we will not be in this house in the next 5 years. We are going to transition. Then it became plainly obvious for her because she saw the math that, well, I need to get up and go now. Like values are strong right now. And this is pre-CARES Act going away. And so inventory is very, very low and interest rates are white hot. And so we need to pull the trigger. We need to get out of our house now. We need to go find what's next because now is the opportunity. And so we've gone all around the globe here in this conversation. But to summarize it, no, there's not going to be this mass influx of inventory. Yes, real estate is as secure of an asset as you could ever own, be it your primary residence or an investment property, which every one of you watching, I hope and pray that you are deeply engaging with this season of the show as we talk about investing in real estate. And I'm going to convince you, Alex and I are going to convince you, if we haven't, that is something you can do. I don't care if you're a part-time mailman, you can be doing this. We will help you solve it 100%. Investing in real estate is something everyone has access to, but real estate is going to be one of the most secure assets over the next 4 years. If you haven't locked into that through this coronavirus season of seeing the stock market live on the roller coaster while real estate just does the slow climb, you've got to see that because it means so much significantly to your future. Alex and I both are deeply connected with a network called Bigger Pockets, and they have a bunch of calculators on their website, and one that I just love because it allows people to really, really see the math of home appreciation. And what it does, it allows you to look at a primary home or an investment home, purchase price, interest rate, projected repairs, like all the ins and outs, and to see what is the value based on historic appreciation we've seen for the past 30, 40, 70 years in homes. And so take that percentage we've seen historically that we can bank on and project it over the next 30 years of your home ownership. Man, that duplex that I'm buying in Anderson, I'm buying it for $235,000, which is a price you don't see anywhere in Metro Atlanta, which is why I'm going to Anderson, South Carolina. But that thing in 30 years is going to be worth over $700,000. And all that while I've gotten rent. I've used that rent to pay down the mortgage. I have gotten all the tax benefits of owning an investment property, and I'm going to get that appreciation down the road. And all of that is true for you as a homeowner. If you're just looking down the pipe of owning a primary residence to owning a home that you live in, you're getting all those same benefits. And so I just can't, the people who are like, man, I'm going to ride it out and I'm going to rent. Sure, you can do that, and rents are going to continue to go up. And you're not going to get any of those benefits. The only thing that you're going to get is the ability to be mobile. And that is an advantage of renting. You get to be mobile. You don't have to wait 10 to 90 days to move. And that is cool to whatever degree, but that cool comes at an extremely high cost. Right. So you've heard me ramble for a minute. What do we need to lock in on? What do you think is helpful for us to, and again, feel free to jump in on the comments. What do you agree with, disagree with? What do you want to clarify? Hit me with anything you got, and let's drive that train, because we're going to wrap this up pretty quick.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people to hear, like, no matter who wins this election, right? Like, there doesn't need to be fear involved when it comes to real estate. Put it that way.
Yep.
Like, if you're in a situation where you're in a forbearance period, like, you need to be paying attention to the CARES Act and, you know, what's going to happen with your mortgage. Like, that's obvious.
Yep.
But I mean, as far as like a recession or not recession or unrest, like, I just don't see anything that we all need to be freaking out about.
Nope.
You know? So
no way. Absolutely not. That is, if you are in I'm telling you, real estate you are the most secure player in the game right now if you own real estate. And that is why I'm just like, man, from my heart, I am so passionate for seeing people engage with this and say yes, even if it means stretching in some certain areas, because I know what it is going to mean for you not only over the next 12 months, but over the next 12 years. How it is going to be a massive game changer in your personal finances and your wealth building. And so, while each president is going to have their leanings and they pursue separate things and different ends when it comes to real estate, the actual asset, the dirt and the brick and the mortar, that ain't going anywhere. That is going to continue. Real estate does this while the stock market does this. Real estate, outside of the Great Recession, which was this like complete and total oddity for real estate, it just does this slow climb. It never does.
Even then,
this
it recovered.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so it is our job as real estate professionals to make sure you see what you need to see to make the decisions that you need to make. And I hope this has dug in. We'll kick over to Georgia really, really quick. I want you to see this data. Let me drop down. And again, if you want access to this PDF, I can get you set up with this on a monthly basis where you can just nerd out with me on all these numbers. But page 22 here, let me see. We're almost there. Here we go. So this is state-by-state ranking of non-current loan population. Right here, we see Georgia. So I want to give you these numbers. Delinquent, again, that's anyone 30 days or more. 8.5% of homeowners exist in that delinquent stage. And again, I want to go back. 11%, it's like 11.4% of only FHA, 15% of all are in forbearance. So what that tells me is there's a good chunk of those people who are just living in forbearance. Then of those who are looking at foreclosure, okay, the foreclosure that everyone sees coming and everyone's like crossing their fingers because real estate goes on sale, that's 0.5% in Georgia. People who, if the CARES Act ended today, they would be looking at foreclosure, 0.5%. And then of those that are not current, that is anything beyond their payment date, we're at 8.7%. So if you're crossing your fingers or like waiting for everything to go on sale, man, I'll be honest. I guess like aliens could come and take over the world. You probably have a better chance of that happening than you do the Great Recession 2.0. Like that's the freaking truth. And that may be awesome news for some, and it gives you security, and it maybe gives you that last push that you needed to step into home ownership. And maybe you're like, man, screw this guy. He doesn't know what's going on. And okay, maybe not, but I'm with the vast majority of people who are investing significantly in real estate who are saying the same thing. Like, my money is where my mouth is in this conversation. Like I'm doing with my wallet what I am saying to you. Just like Alex is, just like our partners are, just like we're whispering in all of our clients' ear, now is the time to be active with your money because money is so cheap in the real estate arena. It is an unparalleled time to go and get a mortgage and see appreciation happen in the asset that is real estate. A million ways to do that, whether you want to chase after a fixer-upper and jump in and let us flip that house for you and give you exactly what you want, which is totally a part of what we do. If it is, man, just changing school districts or staying within your school district, getting bigger, getting smaller, like all of that is in play. But the premium thing you got to be chasing toward. I talked to a guy today. He is currently renting. He sees and gets everything we're talking about. And we've got him chasing after paying off some debt so we can see his debt to income drop so that he can chase hard in the next 8 months of getting that house that he wants his family to be in. And so we want to help you be in that conversation because at the end of the day, we want you to accomplish everything that you want for your family. Like we want you to be sitting in a position in the next 5, 10, 30 years where you have seen your freedom significantly increase because your wealth has significantly increased. And we are absolutely convinced real estate is the best vehicle for the common 2.7 GPAs out there like me to go and create a significant wealth and inheritance to leave their kids. What you want to leave us with, man?
Yeah.
Give us your last 30 seconds here.
Yeah, I think if people are interested in jumping into this conversation, they just got to reach out. Like, no pressure. We love talking about it all the time. I mean, I talk about it all the time with people.
No doubt.
With my friends and families, like they're getting annoyed by it at this point. But so we need more people to talk to about this stuff. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, but
cool.
And if tomorrow you find out your candidate didn't win and you want to move out of the country, please let us know. We'll help you sell
sure. If you're leaving, man, I know people who can sell your house.
We'll get you a cash offer within 24 hours.
Yeah, we can get you a cash offer tomorrow, homeboy. We can have you moved, no problem. We may even help you pay for the moving costs. Okay, like just kidding. Everybody stay. Don't freak out. Like everything is always 10 out of 10 in your mind, and it ends up being like a 3. Okay, so take a breather, take a chill pill, go get something from your doctor. It's going to be okay. I promise we're good. But now's the time. Jump in and laugh with me and enjoy. If Trump loses, enjoy the thought of him coming back 4 years from now, waving the flag, and you hear in the Red Kingdom song like you hear on TikTok 8 bajillion times a day. It may come back. It just may do it. I don't know. But this has been Margaritas. I hope it's been helpful. I'm Mark McMinn.
Alex Morrison.
We'll catch you guys soon. Later.